Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of the Mystic Primrose podcast. Oh my gosh, it has been way too long and I have no excuses. I have been extremely busy with all your orders, but other than that, I have no excuses. So my apologies. I am here now, so that's all that matters, right? Maybe. Okay, so today's episode is going to be very much on breakup advice. I know it's not quite down the witchy avenue, but I feel like my podcast, I want to add different aspects, so it's more of a all-rounded brand, if that makes sense, and it's more of just a chit chat, let's be honest. If you guys were here or have followed me on my Instagram, let's say from January, you would know that I voiced that I was going through a bit of a shitty breakup, let's just say. And 7 months, what month are we on? I don't know. Eighth month this year. Oh my gosh, you can tell I'm tired. We have came out the other side. Let's just say a lot of things have happened in between. A lot of situationships, a lot of drama, the whole shebang, let's be honest, because let's say we're on season 9 episode, fuck knows what at this point. But we have learned, we have grown so much, and I just thought I'd talk about my experience because I know I put a post on Instagram yesterday and it was kind of along the whole breakup empowerment sort of vibes, and a lot of you guys resonated with it. So I thought, why not do a podcast episode on it? Let's be honest. Where do I even start? As you can tell, I never, ever planned these episodes. They are very much word vomit on a page. Not on a page, on a podcast. I don't know. I'm chatting rubbish now. So I thought I'd go through how I survived it, let's say, because when it all kicked off, let's just say I was extremely heartbroken and I thought it was the end of the world and I was never going to find anyone else and I was doomed and all this sort of stuff. All the thoughts that we all go through when a breakup is extremely raw. And oh my gosh, there's a massive spider right in front of me. We're not scared of spiders. I'll let him chill. He can listen to the podcast. Pretty sure I've got ADHD. Let's be honest. Anyway, as I was saying, I thought it was the end of the world and it wasn't. And I have now realised that I am so much better out of it. Yes, at the time, I'd have probably done anything I possibly could to get that person back. But thinking about it and really looking into it, I don't really want that person back in the nicest way possible. They can stay over wherever they are, and I'm happy chilling just being me. I put a post up yesterday on my story asking you guys if you had any questions or wanted any advice, because it's not easy. Breakups aren't easy. Your emotions are all over the place and you feel like it's the end of the world. But with time, that was my stomach. With time, things heal and things do get better. I think we just want things to be better there and then. And it just doesn't work like that. You have to go through the process of dealing with your emotions, dealing with, looking at the relationship and where it could have been better, or where you don't want, say, they did certain things, you don't want those sort of things to happen again in your next relationship. And I think a couple of things that stuck out for me when I put a post on my story ages ago saying that I was going through it, I was absolutely bombarded by so many messages from you guys saying it will get better, don't worry about it, you deserve better. I know it's hard. I don't know why, I didn't think I'd get any responses, but I literally had hundreds and hundreds of DMs, and to the point where it made me want to cry, because I was like, oh my gosh, this is so overwhelming with how much love and everything you guys are showing me, and it meant so much to me. So I thought I'd share maybe a couple of their messages if I can find them. we'll have to do some scrolling. And some of the questions that you guys have been asking me with regards to how to survive a breakup, because they are not easy and they're not fun. They've got to be the worst feeling in the world, let's be honest. And if you're feeling like it right now, I can relate. I've been there more times than I care to admit over silly boys that do not warrant my time. And yeah, so let's get into some questions. I hope you guys have got a cup of tea. I have my coffee here. Back to the bloody questions after the 100th tangent I've just been on. Okay, where are we? Questions, here we go. Some of them were kind of divorce related, relationship related. Others, you guys are asking me about how I grew my Instagram account. So I think that will be left for a different situation. Yeah, different podcast. How to move on. Okay, I feel like this is the question everyone asks, and it's so difficult because like you want to move on and you want to let go, but as much as you want to, there comes a time where you can let go. Like, yes, probably like a week out or something, you're here like, I really need to move on, I really need to let go, but your heart will not let you. No matter how many times you try, your head is like, for fuck's sake, just let go, but you can't. And it's so frustrating. I felt like this for a good, like, I don't know, 3 or 4 months after, and it was doing my absolute head in. I ended up signing up with BetterHelp. This is not a sponsored thing at all. And started talking to a therapist called Gemma, and honestly, it just turned into a gossip session. It's a gossip session every single week with her, and honestly, it's insane. So Gemma, if you are listening, I do appreciate it. Might have to send you the link to this podcast. But yeah, moving on was difficult. I think it was more difficult the fact that I saw them in the gym every single day pretty much afterwards. So I didn't get a break. It was like clockwork. I don't know whether both of us were a bit like going at the same time because we knew that's when both of us would be there. And let's be honest, it probably didn't help at all in the slightest. It probably made matters worse. But for saying that, I refused to change my time because that time in the gym suited me. So I carried on going at that time, and I made a lot of friends in the gym, and it kind of got easier. I was like expecting them to be there every single day, and a couple of times when they weren't, it was kind of like a breather, and I was like, oh my gosh, I can actually relax and enjoy my workout. I don't know how I managed to survive. I think it must have gone to about 5 months of seeing my ex in the gym every single day. And I hope they're not listening to this. My gosh, I hope not. But anyway, I don't care. And I found it so difficult. I think, well, at the start anyway. But then afterwards, I kind of got used to it. And I was just like, yeah, it's what it is sort of thing. And seeing them every single day, like, I don't know, it kind of got to the point where I was like, you know what? If they can sit there and ignore me and pretend that I don't even exist in the gym, then they can go fuck themselves. This podcast is probably going to have a lot of swearing in. I'm not going to lie, because it's a very heated topic. And yeah, so it got to the point where I was like, you know what? Like, it doesn't matter anymore. If they can't, like, I'm the sort of person, I don't want to have beef with anyone. I don't want to be on bad terms. I'd rather just like say our piece and then leave it and be like, okay, that's some closure, draw the line under it, and that's that. But it did not happen like that. There was stares, there was evil, there was tension and everything, and I was just like, get me out of here. But no, I carried on going. I've managed to get some gains from it, turned it into pre-workout. It's fine. But I did find it very difficult. So it took me a while to move on, let's say, and it wasn't until I allowed myself to start talking to other people, open up to the idea of, you know what, that person wasn't the be all or end all. There are so many people out there that are such better suited for me, that were willing to give me things that other person couldn't. Like, they'd do it without even asking, or like going on dates and things like that. So yeah, it is difficult to move on, and I feel like as much as I tried, it was difficult seeing that person in the gym all the time. But at the same time, it was, what was it? It must have been like, I don't know, after a few months or something clicked. Like, I don't know what it was, and I don't know why it clicked, but I woke up one day, went to the gym, and I just kind of like, they were obviously in there, and I was like, you know what? I don't care anymore. Like, I genuinely don't care. I think maybe the fact that I saw them every single day in the gym kind of helped, because it was like constant reassurance, like they just don't give a shit. Like, I'd have given, say, that person my absolute everything, but they're acting as though like I never meant anything to them. And it was kind of the closure that I needed. And one day, I think I was driving back from the gym, I want to say, and something clicked, and I was just like, you know what? I'm happy that this has not worked out, and I am actually ready to let go. And it just kind of happened naturally. So I feel like when it comes to moving on, forcing things, like, you can try your absolute hardest to move on as much as you can. Like, your head could be screaming at you like, I need to let go. But if your heart is not ready to, then it's not going to happen. I feel like as much as you want it to happen, it's not going to, unless you have such a... I think it got to the point where I just told my heart to shut the fuck up. And it was like, I do not care what you have to say. My head is taking control here. It is like putting logic in all of this. I ended up writing lists and stuff like why this person was not good for me and how they made me feel on a regular basis. And the fact that I felt like on places that I couldn't be my authentic self. And I'm pretty sure most of you know by now, I'm a bodybuilder, so I do have a gym account, and it does have a lot of, let's say skin on it, because I'm a bodybuilder. That is what I enjoy. I do competitions and everything. So obviously that page is going to be about my journey and my bodybuilding and my body. So the person I was with was not happy that I was doing this, but like, I've had this page for gosh knows how long, and it got to the point where I felt like I couldn't post. But now that person was like out of my life, I was like, I can post whenever I want, whatever I want, no matter what, and I can actually grow my Instagram if I wanted to. It's not really something I'm into, but writing these lists and sitting there with like facts of what have happened and all this sort of stuff, it can put clarification on everything. And I was like, this person is not my person, because if they were, they wouldn't be bothered about me posting on my Instagram, doing this and this. Like, they just accept me for who I am. And I think that also helped me move on quite a lot, because I think it's just a matter of like surrendering to the universe. And I did read a quote, where was it? I can't think where it was. I read it somewhere, probably on Instagram, where it was like, visualize like the relationship as coming to like a completion, like not to an end. So like that is like the end of the book you had with that person. And I think it kind of adds like a nice tone to it, as in like, you can, like, you've gone through this book with this person and it's come to an end. Yeah, there could be another book, but it's never quite the same, if that makes sense. And I don't know, I think it was just a nice end to it. And it kind of like, you sit there, you could sit back and visualize the relationship as a book, and you can be like, I've learned this from this. And when it comes to, let's say, reading another book, you know what you do and you don't like, and you can take that into your future and look for a person that has the qualities that you want and not the qualities that you don't want. Because people don't change. People don't change unless they really, 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 really want to, or they work their absolute arses off. Like, I have grown so much in the last, 6-7 months. Like, beforehand, my attachment style, I don't know if you guys know about this, but I've done a lot of like deep diving on YouTube with like psychology and relationships and all this sort of stuff. There is 3 different attachment styles. There's avoidant, anxious attachment, and secure. And I, for some reason, always went for avoidance. And when you're a anxious attachment style, avoidant is not the best person to go for, put it that way, at all, in the slightest. They will not help. It will make matters worse because they don't want to face their problems, and anxious people want to talk to the avoidant person to sort it out and get reassurance, but the avoidant person does not give reassurance, so it's doomed to fail. So from that, learning about like attachment styles, I have realized that I need to go for someone who is a lot more securely attached and is happy talking about their feelings and everything. But at the same time, I've learned that I need to sort my anxious attachment styles out, because that does not help. I don't know, it's difficult. I think like once you come out of a relationship, you can do so much inner work and inner healing. And if you really sit down and look at a relationship on where you went wrong and where things triggered you, you can then get to the root on why those things triggered you. Like, it could be something stemmed from, I don't know, childhood or something like that. But it's not until like you're in that emotional state that you can actually start figuring things out. And it's things like that that helped me move on, realizing we had different attachment styles and that we weren't both on the same page is what made me realize, actually, I want to find someone who is on the same page as me, someone who has a secure attachment style, or maybe anxious a little bit, because then you're both on the same page and you don't, like, you both know you worry, and then you can reassure yourself. So yeah, I would say it took a lot for me to move on, and it wasn't in one day, unless maybe some people can do it in one day if you'd already checked out of the relationship a long time ago, and that was that. Because I know I've been in those situations too. But it's difficult. It's not easy. And I'm not going to pretend that it is, because I thought the whole world was crashing down on me. And let's be honest. So I live in my own apartment by myself, with my 2 cats and my dog Ginny. But my parents don't live that far away. And for the first month, I was staying at my parents' every single night because I could just not hack being on my own. And I'm not ashamed to admit it, because it's how I felt at the time and my emotions are valid. So it's not a bad thing if you feel like you're struggling. Like, I used the excuse of my heater being broken and that I had no hot water to be around there all the time. I was literally sleeping in my parents' spare bedroom for a month, 2 months, because I was in a mess. However, I'm back at home and I am absolutely loving my peace and quiet. Like, I enjoy the quiet and the time to myself now, instead of feeling like I need someone there all the time. So that's kind of how I moved on. I think I kind of covered it. I kind of went on a tangent as always, but I hope you guys live for it, because I'm pretty sure I've got undiagnosed ADHD at this point, but we're just rolling with it. Okay, so kind of going on from the how to move on question, someone also left a question going, "Hello, beautiful soul. How do we move on without closure and know it's actually over?" I know where you're coming from with this, because especially with the relationship I was in, it was very much back and forth. I'm like, is this actually it this time, or are you just saying it and you're going to come crawling back and I'm going to get sucked back in? Because that happened a couple of times, let's say, and I was just waiting, because you have, especially in like narcissistic relationships, I'm not saying the person was narcissistic, but there was like characteristics within that relationship that they were, and I wholeheartedly wish them the best. just covering my bum here. I wish them the best, but they can stay arm's length away from me. Anyway, how do we move on without closure and know it's actually over? I think you need to give yourself the closure. Because if, let's say, it is with a narcissistic person, they are not going to give you the closure, because if they gave you closure, then it would be like them shutting a door or like you shutting a door on them so they can't get access back to you, is how I see it. So they will never give you closure. Like, the closure is that they're an arsehole and you deserve so much better and you deserve the absolute world and you don't deserve to be treated like shit. That's the closure, and I feel like you need to give yourself the closure, because they're not going to give it for you. And I feel like you need to be the one that actually decides that it's over. Like, enough is enough. I have like poured my whole entire heart and soul into this. Like, I would have gone to the ends of the earth to like rescue the relationship and try and like work myself into the ground. But I think what we forget is that you get so wrapped up in wanting the other person to want you because of the fear of rejection, the feeling like you're not good enough, like, why am I not good enough? I like would give you absolutely everything and all this sort of stuff. I think we sometimes forget to sit back and actually be like, do we actually want to be treated like this? Like, do we want this for the rest of our life? Do we deserve to sit here on the end of like a fishing hook for when they want to reel me back in, like at the end of a piece of string? No, you don't. Like, be like tough on yourself. Do you really, like, as a kid, I think all of us girls have this like fantasy of finding the one, knight in shining armor. Like, you have such a picture in your head, and are they really living up to it? No. Are you settling for shit? Yes, probably. And if they were that person, they were the one, your knight in shining armor, the fantasy relationship that you've always dreamed of, if they were that person, they will not be treating you like that. So you kind of need to give yourself the closure. Yes, you probably want them back. Oh gosh, Ginny's barking. Ginny! We're on a podcast episode, mate. Chill out. Do you really want that person to come back when they're not really fulfilling your needs? Do you just want them because they don't want you? Because everyone wants someone that they can't have, because it's just the way it works. It's like the chase. But at the same time, if you really sat back, would you want to be sat there in a half-fulfilled relationship where you feel like shit 24/7? Probably not. You're probably like, when it comes to like cycles and stuff where it's very much a roller coaster ride, you get used to getting these dopamine hits. So where, let's say, the guy, he treats you amazingly, he is the best version of the person you could ever ask for, and at that point you think, oh, this person is the one. But then it goes down to them being shitty, doing shitty things, and that's when your stress levels go up. So it turns into a very much a dopamine cortisol roller coaster ride, and because of that you are then waiting for your next hit of dopamine, and this is why you struggle to move on and let go, because you're like, yeah, but they acted like this, and you're just waiting for the next dopamine hit. And I've read like studies and watched YouTube videos on it, and they say it's literally the exact same as a drug addiction. You're waiting for your next hit, or vape addiction, I don't know. But it's very, very much the same thing. And as soon as you break that cycle, and as soon as you, break the cycle, your brain can then like recalibrate, and it won't sit there and fixate on waiting for its next dopamine hit. And if you're sat there waiting for your dopamine hit, go do something that will give you that. Like, I know it's difficult. I know you're sat there waiting at the end of the phone hoping that they message you, but in reality, they're probably not going to. So you need to distract yourself and be like, you know what, enough is enough. I am putting myself forward. I am doing everything that makes me happy. Because let's say when you're in relationships, you prioritize the other person and you don't do things that you really love doing, and you put them to the side. And I feel like when you come out of a relationship, this is the part of the time where you're like, you know what, I'm going to do that thing that I always wanted to do. I'm going to go do this, blah, 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 blah. And honestly, it ends up filling you with so much joy. Like, I've been down to Glastonbury, I've been on holiday with friends, I've done whatever I wanted in the gym. Like, it's been insane. So I'm kind of thankful like the breakup happened, because I wouldn't be able to do that. I wouldn't have been able to be like the person that I've always wanted to be. I felt like I was only like a little part of who I was, and the other person was kind of like stopping me from being my authentic self. So I think once you come out the other side and actually give yourself time to cry, to grieve the emotions, like, don't hold them back. Like, if you need to cry, go and fucking cry, because that's your body getting rid of it. And I feel like once you've had a good cry and got it out your system, where you sit there reminiscing on the things that it could have been and things like all that sort of stuff, you get it out your system, and then your brain can take over and be like, actually, yes, they made you feel like this, but they also made you feel like this. And it's things like, say, when things happen, you could have had like the most amazing day with them. Let's say you went on a cute date, it was absolutely perfect, or it was your birthday and you were going somewhere and they treated you like an absolute goddess. You tend to fixate on those good things, but then you forget the fact that they made you pay for your hotel on your birthday. They forced you to drive down for your birthday, even though they said that they were going to drive down. I'm not like spilling tea here, but you get what I mean. So you kind of got to remember, yes, you had these really good times, but you can't forget the fact that, let's say you had an argument 5 minutes before you left and it was over something stupid. Like, you've got to like balance it. Because if you sit there fixating on what it could have been and all the good times, then you'll never be able to move on, and you'll end up getting yourself in a deeper and deeper hole where things don't get better and you end up miserable. So at this point, I think what I needed to do was literally shake myself and be like, right, Lily, get a fucking grip here, because this person is not your person, and you're crying over someone who couldn't care less. So get your head out your ass and start working towards being the best version of yourself. And honestly, you'll be so much happier because of it. I know it takes time. I know it's hard. I know, especially in the first month, it's absolutely disgusting. It's like you feel like you want to die. But you're not going to die. You're going to come out of it so much better, so much happier. And 6 months later, down the line, you'll be like, oh my gosh, what was I doing? Never again. So I won't worry about it. Feel the emotions when they come up, but remember, yes, there was good times. At the same time, it wasn't all that good. And you need to remind yourself of that, because otherwise your brain will just sit there on the dopamine levels, and we don't want that. What else have we got here? I want him to realise that I am better for him, and also he regret for his mistakes. Okay, I feel like I've been in this position where I've just wanted them back. I've just wanted this, and this. And it kind of plays in the part that you need to remember that they probably weren't perfect for you. There was probably things that they did that pissed you off, or things that gave you the ick, and you kind of just bypass them because you like head over heels, you had your rose tinted glasses on and all this sort of stuff. However, if you are wanting them back, I would say to go no contact. Like, they always come back. Let's be honest, they always do, because it's guys. Some come back once, some come back over and over again, and the odd occasion they don't ever come back. But I'm pretty sure they'll be stalking your Instagram account at some point, let's be honest. You need to give them space. I know it's difficult. I know you don't want to. I know when it comes to especially anxious attachment styles, as they pull away, you just want to go closer towards them, and it doesn't help. It really doesn't help. It makes matters worse because it pushes them even further away. So I would say literally disappear off the face of the planet. If they want to decide that you're not good enough for them, let them. If they want to get rid of you, let them. That's fine. Let them do them, and then they'll realise the consequences when you completely disappear and you're like, it's as though you never existed. Then they'll turn around and be like, oh shit, they actually took me seriously this time and they are not here anymore. And they'll either panic or they'll be like, okay, whatever. So you'll get your answers. And I know there's so many arseholes out there. Like, he might regret his mistakes, but he probably won't tell you that he regrets them unless he realizes he actually, like, you're the person for him and all this sort of stuff. But at the same time, don't sit there holding out on hope. Hope is the worst thing going in the whole entire world, because I had hope for God knows how long, and it held me back so much. I think, yes, you may have a little bit of hope, but do not sit there and let that be your whole entire life. Like, you get on with your life. You go do whatever you want to do. You go talk to whoever you want to talk to. Like, don't just sit there hoping. Yeah, you could have your hope in the back of your mind, but do not fixate on it, because it will drive you absolutely crazy and insane. And you're not worth, like, it's not worth that. You're worth so much more. So my best advice would be to just literally drop off the face of the planet. If he doesn't want anything to do with you, if he wants to get rid of you, okay, fine. Like, I'll drop off. That's fine by me. Yes, it'll probably hurt and everything, but cry behind closed doors. Don't let them know that you care, because if they know that you care, it will give them that ego boost and it'll make them feel like, okay, I've got them exactly where I want them. I can come back whenever I want. And no, they can't. They chose their like path. They opened that door. They can go in that door, because you're not going to sit there and be an option. You're someone's everything. You're not someone's option. They don't decide whether they get to have you or not, because that's not fair. You're someone's everything. You're not someone's meh sort of thing. Okay? So work on yourself. Don't fixate on them. And if he regrets it, then he'll come back and say something. But if he doesn't, then he's a piece of shit and you're better off without him. What else have we got here? Do you feel like you'll find someone better? I feel like when I first came out of it, the breakup was very, very fresh. I didn't think I would. I'll be honest, I thought that person is my whole entire person is the best thing since sliced bread and no, that was just stupid. Of course it's stupid. Of course there's someone better out there. Like, there's, what are we on? 8 billion people on this planet, and we've got social media, and most people have social media. Well, most people do anyway. And there will be someone. Of course there's going to be someone. And I feel like if you wholeheartedly trust in the universe and that your person will turn up and what is meant to be for you will not pass you by. So I think if you put your whole entire faith into the universe and that the universe will bring you what you need and who you want, just live life until then. Like, they'll come when you're least expecting it. I know the number of times people have said to me, like, yeah, but the person will turn up when you're least expecting it. Like, if you sit there fixate on looking for someone, you won't find them. You won't find the right person anyway. So I know it's scary in the fact that you're like, what happens if I'm going to be forever on my own? I'm never going to find anyone. But at the same time, like, work on yourself. Like, give yourself so much self-love and do anything you want to the point where you're like, you know what? So what if I'm like the only person? So what if I never find anyone? So what if I sit there and be a lonely witch in the Highlands of Scotland with cats, dogs, and my spell jars? So what? I'll be happy. Like, they're meant to add to your life. They're not meant to take away from it. So if you wholeheartedly make your life feel as though it is so fulfilled and everything by yourself, you don't need someone else at all. Yes, it would be nice to have someone in your life, but at the same time, you need to be so at peace with yourself. Don't get me wrong, I've still got a lot of work to do. Like, it's not, Rome wasn't built in a day. There is still a lot of work to do, but with the fact that me knowing that if there is someone out there for me that is absolutely perfect, then they'll turn up, and I don't need to force anything. I don't need to try and control it or anything. It will just happen naturally. But at the same time, I would like to think, I feel like I'd be quite proud of myself if I can get myself in a state where I'm like, you know what, I don't need anyone. Like, I have myself, I have my pets, and that's all I need. If someone else wants to come in, sure, you can add to it, but don't disrupt my peace and my happiness. So, yeah, I think it's a matter of just trusting in the universe that what is meant to be for you will come to you, and there's no point in stressing over it, because it'll happen, and it'll happen within divine timing, and you don't need to worry about it. And if that person that you really care for and you've just broken up with is meant to be for you, they'll realise and they'll find their own way back. Whether when they find their own way back, you decide whether you actually want them back or not is a different story, because you've worked so hard on yourself to the point where they are no longer your type. I guess you'll cross that bridge if you ever come to it. But I would say that is my best advice for that. How did you know it was the right decision? I'm going through a breakup right now. I think as women, I'm assuming most of you listeners are women. Hello to the guys that aren't. But anyway, I feel like we're very much in touch with our intuition. Like, we know, like, we could sit there and our gut feeling be like, this person is not for me. But you get so wrapped up in it, in the fact that you're like, I want this person to be the person for me. And you get fixated on it and trying to force it, if that makes sense. But all the time, your gut is screaming at you like, this person, it's not for you. Please stop putting energy into something that you know that's not for you. And I think it's not until you break away from that, say like the breakup, that you realise, oh wait, yeah, I can actually trust my intuition here, because I know this person isn't right for me and I need to go with that. Because at the end of the day, if you stick in a relationship where you know where your gut feeling is here telling you that this person isn't for you, you're never going to be happy. Like, you're never going to be wholeheartedly happy. Yes, there'll be times where you're distracted and you're not thinking about it and you're wrapped up in love and all this sort of stuff. But your gut feeling is always going to go back to like, there's someone better out there for me. My person is still out there. And if you're sat there wasting time on someone you know in your gut feeling isn't your person, then you're wasting those years on where it could be with someone who is your person. Life is short. And let's be honest, how old am I now? What, 27 in December? And I'd like to think I live to 100, maybe. But that's only, quick maths, 33 years, 73 years, fucking hell, of spending time with that significant other. And if you're wholeheartedly in love with this, like with the one, you're going to want to spend as much time with that person as you possibly can. You're not going to want to sit there wasting it on some half-assed person who doesn't really give a shit about you. Like, you deserve your big romantic romance novel that you've always thought of, not some half-assed shit. Coming to that, I don't know if you guys have read this book. It has helped me massively, and it has made my standards in men fucking skyrocket. So it's called A Court of Thorn and Roses. Those that have already watched it, listened to it, or read it, you probably know I was going to come out with that anyway. But it is the best book in the whole entire universe. Like, it is your whole fantasy, as though you're a kid and the big strong guy come to rescue you, knight in shining armor, big crazy romantic thingy. Anything you'd ever want in a guy is in the guys on here. I'm not going to spoil it for you too much, but there's a couple of main characters. There's one lot that are your whole entire world best version that you could ever want, and then there's another guy where you think to start off with they are your whole entire world and that they are everything and the best thing since sliced bread, but they turn out to be an absolute arsehole. I'm not naming names because I don't want to ruin it for people, but those who know, you know who I'm on about. And I've now started putting people in these categories. I don't know whether it's healthy or not. They are either this, let's say this person, or they are Y. And if they are X, we don't want them. If they are Y, we 100% want them. So if they don't live up to these people, or they don't fit into it doesn't matter if they don't fit into the categories, but if they fit into, let's say, the arsehole one more than the other, it is time to get rid. Like, you guys need to read this book. A friend of mine put me on it and I was like, I'm not really big into reading because I don't have time, I've got all these orders to do and all this sort of stuff. But I put it on audiobook as I do my orders, and oh my gosh, I'm on my To be fair, I have been away, so I've not had a chance to really listen to it the last week or so. But I have never got through a book so quickly in my whole entire life. I think I'm on the 3rd or 4th one now, and there's 5th. And I'll be honest, there are some really, 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 really raunchy scenes. Like, some of them, as I had it on an audiobook, I was like, oh my god, like this is like in detail. So if you like a little bit of smart, if you sit there and love a romance novel and all this sort of stuff, please start reading A Court of Thorn and Roses, ACOTAR. It will change your life, and you'll become obsessed, and you'll probably hate me for it, but at the same time you'll love me for it at the same time. So that is my recommendation. If you're going through a breakup, read those books. They will sit there and change your viewpoint, and your standards of men or women or people in general will skyrocket, and you'll be like, you know what, I'm not settling for shit. So thank me later. What else? Have I got any more questions? How to heal from heartbreak and be consistent with studies. I would say time. The comeback is always better than the setback. Time. I know it's shit. I know that the last thing you want someone to say is time. You want to feel better there and then. But unfortunately, it's the way things go. Consistent with studies. I would say force yourself to study as much as you can. So let's say if you are feeling like shit and you are reminiscing on that person, at that point, have your little cry, but then be like, you know what, enough is enough now. I need to focus on these studies. And every time you sit there going into your fantasy land of like what could have been, they were so much better than they actually were and all this sort of stuff, you know what I mean? Go and do studying. So replace those feelings with something productive. And I think it'd help. I know I did that. So like when it came to like doing reels, whenever I felt like shit, I'd go and do a reel and it'd take my mind off it, and then I'd be a little bit more chilled and my stress levels wouldn't be as bad. I think there's a couple of others, but I think that's about it, to be honest. They're all very similar in like how to get people back and all that sort of stuff. I don't even know how long I've been recording voice noting for now. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this little podcast. I know it wasn't very witchcraft related, but I feel like I want my podcasts to be a little bit more well-rounded, and where I can help you guys in past experiences. Yes, we'll have witchcraft episodes, but we'll also have like self-help, self-love, because I'm going through my journey and I'm pretty sure most of you are too. So it'd be nice if we could do it together. But yeah, I hope you guys have an amazing day. Thank you for listening. You guys mean the absolute world to me, and keep your orders coming in. Like, you keep me busy and you put a massive smile on my face, so I can't complain. But if you are going through a breakup and if you are struggling right now, do not worry, it will get better. It feels like shit at the time, but focus on yourself, make yourself proud, and don't settle for less than you deserve, because you deserve the whole entire world and more, not the bare minimum. We don't want people that have potential. We want people that are what we want, if that makes sense. So yeah, keep your chin up, guys. Don't worry about it. If you need to cry, get it out your system, but just know you're so much better than that piece of shit. Other than that, I hope you guys have a good day, and I'll speak to you soon. Bye.